Major funding for this program is provided by grants from HSH Nordbank and First American Title Insurance Company of New York, Perfect Building Maintenance, Allied Partners, Murray Hill Properties, Bank of America, SJP Properties, Greenberg Traurig. Additional funding for this program is made possible by grants from Arbor Realty Trust, BRT Realty Trust, Burden LLP, CB Richard Ellis, City Habitats, City Investment Fund, Cushman & Wakefield, Eastern Consolidated, Essex Capital Partners, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Massey Knackle Realty Services, Meridian Capital Group, McSam Hotel Group, Must Development LLC, Newmark Knight Frank, Palin Enterprises, Rosenthal & Rosenthal Inc., Signature Bank, Sidney Fettner Associates, Studley, Stonehenge Partners, Swig Equities, Extreme Contracting and Deconstruction.
Hello, my name is Michael Stoller, host of the Stoller Report, Real Estate Trends in the Tri-State Region. Some people consider New Jersey a foreign land. You know, it's across the water, but Brooklyn is across the water also. You know, it's a place that, you know, as Richard Lefrak said to me once, who owns a lot of property in New Jersey, I only know Jersey City, I never go other parts. But today I have these distinguished gentlemen who are developing in New Jersey. Some of them have been developing for many years, who are going to tell us what's happening in residential development in Jersey, in New Jersey and Jersey City. My guests include George Philopoulos, president of Metrovest, Lee Salzman, chief operating officer, the Athena Group, Andrew Abramson, president and CEO of Value Companies, and last but not least, our youngest guy over here, Jim Caulfield, president of Fields Development. So, besides me joking that, you know, Jersey is across the line, I used to live in New Jersey, I had a company called Princeton Commercial. Most of you are involved with Jersey City, which to some people consider the sixth borough of the city, which I don't. You know, I'm anti-Jersey City. Oh, just joking. Okay.
Fourth borough, then?
Fourth borough. Okay. You know, Staten Island. So, you know, you have this little project in Jersey City. You know, a former medical center on top of a hill. It looked like a prison every time I remember that.
We're in marketing mode.
Okay, we're in marketing mode. Tell me why people want to live in Jersey City, and I want other people to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about other parts of Jersey also. Well, why do people want to live in Jersey City? What makes Jersey City an interesting place? And I know all three of you are heavily, and you own the site over there.
Okay, there's a number of reasons. Our project, The Beacon, is the former Jersey City Medical Center. We have 10 towers, it's about 2 million square feet. It does sit up on the Palisades. We don't call it a hill because since we've been excavating on the site for the last 2 years, we've called it a lot of other things. Very tough bluestone that our site sits on. We're building 1,200 units eventually. The first 315 are just about done. People have moved in. I guess a number of reasons. Certainly price point is one. At our price point, we're in a lot of cases.
So for my audience, you know, people who might want to buy an apartment or rent an apartment or in properties, how much does it cost? I mean, in Manhattan, we all realize a new property is expensive. Yeah. It's probably a minimum $1,100 a square foot, Lee, to $1,500. Right. What's somebody going to get an apartment in your building, which is totally renovated, this gut renovation of this landmark building? How much is that?
We're around $500 a foot, a little better.
So you're at $500 a foot. You?
$450 to $550.
$600.
$600. So,
but at $600, you are still getting, you know, product and quality that you'd be paying, you know, literally double that or almost double that across the river in one of those other boroughs that we talked about.
Okay, and what about real estate taxes and operating expenses? Yeah.
Before you jump there, I even think the size matters too, living space. In Manhattan, you get a two-bedroom for 950 square feet. I don't know about you guys, but we're roughly about 1,200 square feet for a two-bedroom. So, I mean, that's a 3-bedroom in Manhattan, and it's half the price. So, I'm sorry, the taxes do play, you know.
And what are the taxes?
Roughly, we're all going for tax abatements on New Jersey City projects, and they're anywhere from 5 years to 30 years. But it's for a $500,000 apartment, it's plus or minus anywhere between $5,000 and $7,000 a year.
So somebody still has to pay $5,000 to $7,000, as opposed to being in New York City, like your project up on Central Park North, where there's a 10-year tax phase-in over
Right.
there, so it's
20%
less expensive.
right,
So
every 2 years.
So what happens? So it's $5,000. So that's
But I also think there's a balance too of our condo association fees. Our minimum fees are usually, or anywhere between $250 a month and maybe $350. Where in New York, that same apartment in that same building could be anywhere from $750 to $800. So
There's a
give and take.
balance. I mean, the tax abatements, we were lucky, well, we worked very hard, and I think the city recognized how important our project was. To get a 30-year abatement, it's calculated a little differently, but at 10%, we're paying roughly 0.9% of the sale price is what the owner will pay in taxes. But they'll pay that for 30 years. I mean, there's no phase in it. It's just...
Andy, you've been in, your father and you've been developing in New Jersey for how many years?
50 years.
50 years. And you were going to do a development in Jersey City. What happened?
We became a little concerned about the number of units that were coming online and the fact that the market across the country had already started to deteriorate. And from our perspective, we felt that there may be an oversupply that come online shortly. So rather than build the project ourselves, we sold it to a third party. Fortunately, did very well in the transaction. And timing-wise, we beat the market.
Now, prior to the show, we were saying, because you have developments, both rental and ownership developments all over the state. You have basically right now in Jersey City and in Hoboken, but you've done other parts of the state also, correct?
Yes.
And you're basically right now, the Beacon is your major property in Jersey City, and later on you're going to have this hotel and convention center in your Jersey
Conference
City
center, right.
conference center right now. What's happening in the other parts of New Jersey?
I think the market is basically fallen off a cliff at this point. My associates and partners are telling me in their projects that it's very difficult to get people even to show up at the door unless they think there are going to be huge price concessions. What KHOV did a few weeks ago proved that there is a market, but there has to be a real reason to buy.
You mean the sale of the century?
Yeah, the sale of the century.
You know, but you know, everybody, you guys are in development.
But it's not just about price, because I mean, you've got 20 million square in Jersey City. But there's 20 million square feet of Class A office space. You're with the transportation infrastructure that's already in place. You're literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes away from Lower Manhattan.
But let's take Bergen County. I mean, you have office buildings in Fort Lee. You have office buildings in Paramus.
But it's created a nucleus and a lifestyle.
But Roseland. I mean, Roseland is a major office complex also.
Yes.
So you're saying that in other parts, with the exception of what we would call the Gold Coast, being Jersey City and Hoboken, sales in New Jersey are
not very good.
Not very
but
good.
Conversely, the rental market has improved dramatically. In our projects, and we go from central Jersey up into Bergen County, even into southern Orange County, New York, we have waiting lists again. And people are just continually coming in. And I think a lot of them, particularly where our rentals, for the most part, are middle market, the people that would be buying the $250,000, $300,000 houses, they're scared. So they'd rather spend.
Why are they scared? Are they scared because of the credit crisis that we have? Are they?
I think there's a variety of reasons why they're scared. One, they think the prices are going to continue to deteriorate, so why buy now? And that's a mentality that's been promoted by the press to a large degree. I mean, the mortgage rates on a historical basis are still great. Financing is available in spite of the problems with the subprime market. So this is it's a confidence factor right now, and people are just not ready to buy. The other problem is that in the middle market, the $250,000 and $300,000 buyer, well, who has that house now? Predominantly, we're in a resale area, so they have to sell their house so they can buy so the person that's buying that house that they have is looking to buy the next step up. They can't buy. So you have the trickle-down effect or the step-up effect, and consequently the market just stops.
So what it sounds like is that's the other part of all of other parts of Jersey, which I've heard from other people. It looks like in Jersey City and Hoboken, it's a lot of the first-time owners.
But there's a fair amount of first-time owners. You have a lot of people. We found 40% of our buyers coming from being priced out of Manhattan. And
But
that made
are
us
they
shift all our advertising
but
to
are they first-time owners in many cases?
In some cases, they are. Our building, for a lot of reasons, we're seeing a wide range. Everyone likes to say their buildings appeal to a wide range, but because of the architecture and the Art Deco component, we do get empty nesters, and
We're seeing empty nesters in our building as well.
Right, but now let's talk convenience. Which one's the most convenient to the path?
I'm building one right now, right across the street from Grove Street Pass Station. Within 5 minutes, you're in downtown Manhattan. You walk 2 blocks, you're on a light rail that takes you to a heavy rail, which takes you to train to Boston all the way out to, D.C. You walk 3 blocks, you get on a ferry, and you go to Manhattan. It's everything that you need.
Newark Airport. I mean,
It's the roadways, the Holland Tunnel.
We're 0.8 of a mile from the PATH station at Exchange Place, and I'm in the shuttle business now.
Right, you said to me you're in the shuttle business. So somebody goes to your place and can buy a unit for maybe $300,000 to $500,000, and they have a shuttle?
Yeah, take a 6
So
minute.
we have the Philopolis shuttle,
Well,
right?
we got a 48 passenger bus, another 30 passenger bus. We shrink wrapped it with plenty of advertising, and we send it up and down Montgomery Street. I don't know how many times a day, 50 times a day. Every
And it's
15
free.
minutes. Oh, absolutely free. And if you're going to live at the Beacon, you have to decide that you're going to take an additional 6-minute ride to get to the path. Or take a zip car, or take a town car that we have available 24 hours for free.
Well, wait a second. You have a zip car and a town car?
Well, zip cars on the premises to rent cars, and we bought a town car to take people at off hours, so I don't have to run the bus at night at 2 in the morning. So we make it as
The
convenient
nice
as
thing about
possible.
Jersey City, there's different nooks or different areas. You have your area, which is becoming a city to itself, a small city. You have the Paul Sook area, more of a family neighborhood. You got the Arts District, which we have projects in, which is more of an artist area, a lot of people coming from Brooklyn into. You have Lefrak City in itself.
No, that's Newport. He doesn't want to be called Lefrak City.
But,
It's Newport. As Sam said, it's a new port, as when he stood on that.
But you can have 5 projects going. I mean, we're starting 3 projects in 3 different areas, and none of them are competing with each other. None of the same people waiting on the same list to buy apartments. People looking for different reasons.
So, as opposed to some of the people who I talk to, people are telling me that, with the exception of Manhattan, sales are a little slow in other parts of the 4 other boroughs. And Long Island, it's just exactly what Andy said. There's nothing happening in Long Island. Westchester is a different case, because I think Westchester or White Plains is similar to what you're talking about of what's happening in Jersey City.
Well, you can always get pockets of development or areas that, for whatever reason, whether it's a demographic situation, whether it's a lifestyle situation, schools, to a certain degree transportation, can be immune to some of the market conditions. But generally speaking, you look in areas outside the Gold Coast, the Jersey Cities, the Hobokens, or whatnot, we're still in a commuter market. It's a different type of commuter. At least it's my perception that the bulk of the people that want to live in the Hoboken, Jersey City are looking to commute to New York. They're not looking, for the most part, to commute to Morristown, to Fairlawn, to Clifton.
Or they could work at downtown in
Now,
Jersey
what
City.
about the people who live in your properties in Central Jersey? Are they working in New Jersey, or are they taking suburban bus or New Jersey transport to Manhattan?
For the most part, they work relatively local to where they live. Years ago, we built in a large project in Princeton. We did have a fair number of commuters that would take the Princeton Junction line to New York City. But I think that the typical buyer that's going to live in those communities is somebody that live and works relatively close to their home. I mean, close could be 15, 20 miles, but they're not looking to, generally speaking, looking to commute to the city.
You brought up a very interesting point before the show. Development, entitlements, and other problems in New York City sometimes could take 2 years, could take 5 years. And as Josh Muss has said to me, development's taken him as long as 18 years, but that's Josh Muss. You were
That's
saying
not unusual.
right, but
That's not unusual.
Right, but in Jersey, you guys, the Jersey City boys, okay, let's say, you said you can go in and you can get something entitled and you can build quickly.
Right. I mean, it's anywhere from 2 to 6 months. They got a great planning staff who understands the vision of the city, and they take a public opinion, but they understand the public opinion isn't always going to be there, and they have a vision for the city, and they
Other parts,
act on it.
more in the suburbs, it's a question of perseverance, because a typical planning board is a 3 to 5 year exhaustive process, and probably on a once a month basis. And we've had the experience, and we beat the 18 years. We had one project that literally my father started in 1962. I finished in 1995 or 96. That
Couple of
particular,
generations.
that particular project went from 540 homes when it was conceived to 98 homes when
What
it
was
was
the
finally
IRR
approved.
on that one?
Unfortunately, we own the land for almost nothing.
Well,
But
I'm sorry.
you know, it's just it's a different type. Generally
So it's
speaking,
user-friendly.
it's a different type of developer, though. We as the suburban, typical New Jersey developers are moving to the city. We're moving to the Jersey cities and Hobokens. We don't see too many of the Hoboken, Jersey City developers moving into our locale because they're not used to going through this multi-year process.
I'm sorry, we made an acquisition in this, I guess right in the heart of the Pinelands in Mullica Township. Bought a square mile of property. Came across my desk, I looked at it, it's 560 acres. I said, this is a square mile of property, I got to buy this, I'll be able to build something. And then after tape recording frogs as they procreated and trapping copperhead snakes, implanting them with radio transmitters, keeping them at a zoo, and then setting them free to see where they go, we decided that we're going to go back and stay where we're comfortable, which is the urban
But you know,
area.
I think where Andy builds his houses and the rentals, there are schools. The big problem that I heard before from you, comment from you, and also from the Lefracks when they built Newport, is Jersey City lacked these schools. What are you doing on your two developments?
Well, there's some good schools, some good middle schools. Everyone is concerned, when you're selling condos with, pre-K and daycare. And what we're doing is we're actually building and bringing a very highly regarded pre-K that's currently in Jersey City to the Beacon so that we can have schooling on the premises.
I mean, if you look at Battery Park City, and if you look at, Lower Manhattan, the same thing was said when the conversation first turned about really kickstarting residential development down there. And when the people start to arrive, the schools and the other infrastructure will.
What's interesting is that you're basically, and I think what you're saying, Lee, is very true, because when Lower Manhattan, not even Battery Park City, when Lower Manhattan was converted from office to residential, many of the landlords, including Rockrose and Moynihan, paid for the grocery stores to open up for free. Okay,
You had a jump start.
They had a because otherwise there was no people.
Michael, when we program our amenities, we had a lot of existing space that was historic and protected both nationally and statewide. We decided we were going to come up with as many amenities as we could, and and everyone's doing that now. So you're thinking pools and spas and saunas and health clubs and roof terraces, but if you go down the list, when you think about schooling, I mean that's a huge selling point for parents who have.
There's a demand for it.
But I'll ask my fellow panelists here, because when we looked in Jersey City and we had our one project in the Paulus Hook area, one of the things that at least I, as as an out-of-city developer, was concerned about was some of these other things. What are the facilities that were available? Just the grocery store. How does somebody go shopping for groceries in an area where they don't want to be commuter friendly? You don't have a lot of places to park. The buildings that are being built don't have a lot of parking. So we got concerned of saying, well, where are some simple things?
But I want to say that. So Lee, you're building the building called the A, 32-story
34. Don't cut us down.
34. Okay, so that's a condominium, and then you're going to be building rental. Where do people, as Andy said, where's the supermarket?
Across the street from
Right now, it's coming in.
Is it a full supermarket or is it a little store? Is it
It's a ShopRite and a
It's a
BJ's. Yeah, and we also have Whole Foods that delivers. We're talking about putting Whole Food fridges inside our lobbies.
Where
behind a door.
Whole Foods delivers?
Not Whole Foods, Fresh Direct delivers.
We did that, and now Fresh Direct won't leave food.
They won't do it.
They decided to change, and they said they're just available all night, so they'll come 2 o'clock in the morning.
To your door.
Yeah.
So Fresh Direct, based in Long Island City, is now going to Jersey City too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in Hoboken. Yep. And you know, you talked about schools. The reason we're going into that business on my end, it's because there's a demand for it. It says a lot about our area. Families are staying there; they feel more comfortable. They're not leaving. The streets are safe.
And what about Hoboken, the home of Frank Sinatra? You know, the good restaurants. You were saying before, Hoboken development is a little tight.
Hoboken's different than Jersey City. It's a world on its own. People who from New York will not look at Hoboken, but they'll look at Jersey City. And Hoboken's buyers are typically the same. They're from Jersey, and that's where we find our buyers. But in that, the buyers.
Wait a second. I hate to disagree with you. There are New Yorkers who want to be in Hoboken. And Hoboken, in many aspects, was more urban. You know, people preferred Hoboken. Jersey City was
Jersey City
was
to
a
people
slum at one time.
brings, you know, Hoboken right now you can't get a.
He's going to kill me.
Small portions of the Upper East Side.
In Hoboken right now you can't buy a 2-bedroom condo across the street from a pass station. You can't get up to that waterfront. You're Toll Brothers right now, Maxwell House is $1,000 a square foot. That's Manhattan prices. The only place you get those views is in Jersey City or that accessibility to mass transportation. So those.
So why is it $1,000 a foot to be in Hoboken? I mean, isn't it 5 minutes away?
It's the
Jersey
town's
City
10 years
Hoboken?
ahead of Hoboken. I mean, Hoboken's 10 years ahead of Jersey City. The stores are already developed. The restaurants are developed. They got the best locations in terms of, you know, the views, and you're in between the Holland and Lincoln Tunnel. So, but Hoboken's on a.
But Hoboken has to figure out what it wants to do.
Right.
The administration.
You mean when it grows up?
Well, to a certain degree, when it grows, that there are areas of Hoboken that are still ripe for redevelopment, but the administration hasn't figured out what the direction is that it wants to go. So things become somewhat stagnant, except for in limited areas. The main areas that would redevelop, the Underbridge Economic Zone, for instance, there are a few players that are gobbling up the property in anticipation that the new administration or the current administration is finally going to decide what it wants to do.
But like he said, the new and old. There's a conflict between the new and old now, and everybody's lobbying to get in position. And with that, everybody, you know, the big thing's park space. I live in Hoboken. I want more park space, but who's going to pay for it? And when you go up to 100 voters and say, do you want park space? They're all going to say yes. But when you tell them that it's going to cost them blank more a month in taxes or a year, they're all going to say no, and nobody's done that analysis yet.
Okay. Now, you know, prior to the show, we were talking about other parts of Jersey because we're talking what's happening in Jersey. And I said, what about the place, Bruce Springsteen's favorite place, Asbury Park? You know, I pick up some of the newspapers. You know, the media who knocks the real estate market survives by getting ads from the real estate developers. And I see all these ads, these positive ads about Asbury Park. And you were saying before,
Sales are poor from everything we've seen. We've looked at various projects there. We've tried to make a deal with the designated redeveloper, and we're finding that all of our market research says that sales are very, very slow.
and why? I mean, you have the beach. You know, it's like what you're saying in Jersey City and Hoboken. You have the water.
It's an enigma, because in other parts of the country, or even in other parts of Jersey, if you're on the water, generally speaking, you can sell because they're not making new beach, they're not making new water. In Asbury, for a variety of reasons, part of the way the redevelopment plan has been set up, they haven't had the velocity of sales, they haven't had the real push, as opposed to Long Branch.
But with that, there's one developer for the whole spot. We can't go compete on properties. There's one guy to go.
What do you mean? They designated one
developer who's selling off parcels to individual developers.
And he wants, it's a rich price he's asking for. So if you were to open up to the general market, 3 years ago we would all have been down there. Every developer you know would have been there.
You know, I know,
and there's only things happening within 2 blocks of the water. So you drive down and it still looks like a desolate city. If you're on the boardwalk, you're 1 block in where Metro Homes is building, where Kushner's building, and Paramount, there's activity. You go 1 block further from the ocean, it's nothing. It's houses that have been torn down, dilapidated structures, and so people are concerned. What's going to happen if we buy here? Where's the next phase?
Well, it's an example of a failed redevelopment. And one of the things that really brought Jersey City up to where it is redevelopment law. acquiring, and blighting large areas, and then instituting a very logical redevelopment. And I have very little experience in Asbury Park. I drove through with my wife one day, and I saw, like you said, near the water, a couple of pockets of what looked like an attempt at gentrification, surrounded by just an absolute mess. And the problem is that the mess, apparently now, from what I'm hearing here, is controlled. So it isn't as if there's an opportunity for individual owners to say, hey, the guy next door just built a great little building, he's got a great little coffee house downstairs, let me do the same. Things are actually artificially in limbo.
Let's take another city, New Jersey, which you brought out before. In certain, you talked about their airport, you didn't talk about their city. Okay, I think the largest city in New Jersey is Newark. Largest population, maybe semi-largest business. Okay, Athena Group is in New York City, in Harlem, all over, Vegas. You guys looking in Newark?
We would certainly look at something there, and we've looked at some things there, but nothing has clicked at this particular point in time. But we would certainly.
And what's your thoughts? I mean, I got guys here who really know Jersey, and you've been in Jersey for all your life. Newark.
I think Newark will eventually come back. They're trying the PAC, the new Devils Arena, the baseball park. But I think again,
it's a good commute if you're near.
It's a great commute, but I think again it becomes a political issue. You need an administration that is proactive and reactive, rather than one that appears to have, in the past, been a closed shop. And if you weren't tight with the past administrations, you weren't going to get anything through. Now you have, I think, and I hope that with Cory Booker there, that it will be more of an open forum where opportunities will be presented to everybody.
What about the credit crisis? Because we are having a little credit crisis. How do you see this affecting developments in New Jersey?
One thing I could say about us, I mean, and I consider us in like the eye of the storm in this Hoboken, Jersey City, is that we have dual incomes. People are doing very well. They either work in downtown Jersey City or Manhattan. Whether it's same-sex marriages or husband-wives, both of them are working nowadays. And they're living, they're staying and living, and that point or two increase hasn't affected them.
No, but in the near term, I mean, it's going to impact construction and other financing just like any place else. And so with, some lenders sort of just sitting on the sidelines right now, I get the impression they kind of want to wait, 6 months or so and see how things shake out. With loan-to-value requirements going up, with proceeds, going down, rates up. I mean, it definitely has changed the dynamic. So it is going to become, a little bit more expensive. You're going to have to put a little more equity in to get developments going. So it's got to have an impact on economic feasibility and pricing.
But you have the other part of the rate of the credit crisis, which is the developer. There are so many banks and other sources of income that are out of the market.
Okay. I got the hit that hard to believe we've done 30 minutes, and I think I'm very happy that I've been able to give my viewers and the people on the internet and otherwise a perspective of what's happening in Jersey, with a lot of perspective on Jersey City. I'd like to thank George Philopoulos, Lee Salzman, Andy Abramson, and Jim Caulfield for being here. Next week, we leave Jersey City and New Jersey, and we go to what's happening in Long Island City, which is part of the 5 boroughs. Thank you. See you next week.
Major funding for this program is provided by grants from HSH Nordbank and First American Title Insurance Company of New York, Perfect Building Maintenance, Allied Partners, Murray Hill Properties, Bank of America, SJP Properties, Greenberg Traurig. Additional funding for this program is made possible by grants from Arbor Realty Trust, BRT Realty Trust, Burden LLP, C.B. Richard Ellis, City Habitats, City Investment Fund, Cushman & Wakefield, Eastern Consolidated, Essex Capital Partners, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Massey Knackle Realty Services, Meridian Capital Group, McSam Hotel Group, Muss Development LLC, Newmark Knight Frank, Palin Enterprises, Rosenthal and Rosenthal Inc., Signature Bank, Sidney Fettner Associates, Studley, Stonehenge Partners, Swig Equities, Extreme Contracting and Deconstruction.